And we're going to end on some sad news. One of the greatest jazz saxophonists of all time, Wayne Shorter, has died in Los Angeles. He was 89 years old. Wayne Shorter came to prominence collaborating with Miles Davis's second quintet in the 1960s. He went on to lead his own band, producing seminal albums on the Blue Note label, including Speak No Evil, and he formed the jazz fusion group Weather Report. During his long career, he was awarded 11 Grammys. As always, more on our website. Get in touch with me via social media at Kasia Madeira on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Focus on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Our top stories today. Old Naira bills are staying for now as Nigeria's Supreme Court orders an extension of their use amid cash shortages. Meanwhile, opposition leaders are set to challenge Nigeria's election results, citing rigging. We will be hearing from the president-elect spokesperson. Also in a program, divorce, a cause to celebrate. Music, dance, let the party begins for the women of Mauritania who celebrate the end of their marriage. And in sport, Ivory Coast international Wilfried Zaha is set to return from injury for Crystal Palace this weekend. Thanks for joining us on Focus on Africa from BBC World News. Last October, the Central Bank of Nigeria declared that the old Naira banknotes would cease being legal tender from January 31st. It led to difficulties accessing cash and to protests in some parts of the country. The decision was challenged in court, and earlier today, Nigeria's Supreme Court ruled that old bills can remain until the end of the year. The court reasoned not enough notice was given to the public before the old notes were withdrawn. I'm joined now by our Africa business correspondent Nkechi Obona in Lagos. She's been following the story. So Nkechi, what does this judgment mean for regular citizens? Thank you, Nkechi Obona, for your expertise. Thank you. The issue of the currency featured highly during the elections, in which Bola Tinubu of the ruling APC party was declared the winner. I'm now joined by Adrien Ngelale. He's a spokesperson for Mr. Tinubu's office in Abuja. So firstly, what does President-elect Bola Tinubu think of the Supreme Court ruling regarding the validity of Naira notes? Thank you, Mr. Ngelale, for this comment. Thank you very much. Let's now have a quick look at other stories making the headlines. On his third day on the 4-day trip for Africa, French President Emmanuel Macron renewed ties with Angola by signing an economic accord with the country. Mr. Macron held talks with his counterpart João Lourenço in the capital Rwanda. Speaking at the talks, he called the oil-rich country a strategic partner in the region. The Human Rights Commission in Ethiopia has strongly criticized the security forces for beating people and using live bullets against the crowd in the capital, Addis Ababa. It says at least one person was killed and many others were injured. People had gathered on Thursday to celebrate a holiday commemorating the country's victory over Italian invaders in late 19th century. The Tunisian authorities have banned an opposition rally that was due to take place on Sunday. There have been numerous protests against President Kais Saied's authority since he shut down the parliament and moved to rule by decree in 2021. The Tunisian official said Sunday's request had not been approved as some of its leaders are suspected of plotting against state security. And still to come, a party for a divorce. Some women in Mauritania celebrate the end of their marriage and the beginning of a new chapter. welcome back to Focus on Africa. Let's now head to Burkina Faso for the FESPACO, the biggest African film festival. This year's theme is African Cinema and Culture of Peace, an invitation, say the organizers, to reflect on how movies can encourage reconciliation in troubled times. A total of 170 films are competing across 11 categories, including short film, documentaries, TV series and animation. BBC's Nicolas Negos spoke with 3 filmmakers in a race for the top prize. We all know about wedding celebrations, but what about throwing a big party for a divorce? Well, it's definitely not something usually associated with religious communities. Normally, the end of marriage can carry a lot of stigma, but in Mauritania, an Islamic country, it's customary for divorced women to welcome this new chapter in their life. My colleague Caroline Noyer reports from Nouakchott. Well, you heard it on the BBC, divorced women are less demanding. Let's go to Tanzania now. Over 65,000 households in the town of Kigoma in western Tanzania now have access to reliable electricity after decades of darkness. And it's all thanks to a new solar power plant funded in part by US development aid. Previously, hydropower and diesel were needed to produce enough power to supply the town. The BBC's Alfred Lashtek went to visit the new energy plant and sent this report. And you're watching BBC Focus on Africa. It's now time for some sport with who else? Mimi Fawaz, what do you have for us?
Looking ahead, of course, to the Premier League matches this weekend. And Crystal Palace manager Patrick Vieira has confirmed that Wilfried Zaha will be back in the starting lineup for the game against Aston Villa over the weekend. The Ivory Coast talisman has missed the last 4 games with a hamstring injury. Despite the boost Zaha's return will give to his side, Vieira says the players around him must also demonstrate their quality. And that's all the sport.
Thank you, Mimi. Now let's get back to our top stories. Nigeria's Supreme Court has ordered the central bank to allow the use of old banknotes until the end of the year. It is the latest development in the government's botched attempt to introduce new banknotes. The justices said that not enough notice was given to the public before the old notes were withdrawn. Well, feel free to get in touch with me and some of the team on social media. I'm at Clarisse Fortuné. Well, that's all from the program. From me and the rest of the Focus on Africa team, goodbye.